Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is MS Collections. Thank you for stopping by. In today's tutorial, I'll be learning how to make this bustier dress with asymmetric curves and neckline. And this is an inbuilt corset. Okay, I made this as an inbuilt corset. This style has been trending online, and it could be a skirt and blouse, but this dress you're seeing here was made as a gown. Okay, so if this is something you're interested in, kindly stay tuned to the end of the video. Do not forget to subscribe if you haven't. Give me a thumbs up, share the video, and turn on your notification bell so you get notified when I drop new videos, because I always drop amazing content. Now this is the part 1 of this video that captures the pattern drafting and cutting. Okay, so over to the drafting. I have my pattern paper, and for this pattern draft, we are not going to be, the usual folding our pattern into two. We are going to be drafting the full front piece as it is without it being folded into two. So you can see, first of all, I have that middle line marked on my pattern paper to be able to guide me on the center of the blouse. So what I'm going ahead to do is to I've marked 1/2 inch for the shoulder line. I'm going ahead to mark my shoulders and my neckline, okay, the shoulder slant. So that is what you can see me do in the video. I really recommend that you watch very closely, because I'll be leaving some of the clips for us to watch and understand. So next up, I'm going ahead to mark my armhole, and this is me creating my armhole. If you don't know how to create your armhole, just divide your bust measurement by 6, add 1.5 inch, and it will give you your armhole length. So whatever you do on one side, be sure to do on the other side. And after I'm done marking the line, as you can see, I got the middle of the line, and then I'm going up by 1/2 inch to enable me create my armhole curve. And of course, I'm just going ahead to draw the line across to enable me create my armhole curve. Okay, next off, I'm going ahead to mark other lines. Please take note that armhole line is considered the chest line. The next line I'm going ahead to mark is my bust point. I'm going ahead to mark my half cut or my under bust length. And I'm going ahead to mark my waist length, as you can see. And the last line will serve as my hip line. Okay, so all these measurements are taken on the client's body to know their positions. And then I've gone ahead to label my chest line, or my chest length or chest line, my bust point, my half cut, my waist, and my hip. Okay, so from the bust point, take your nipple to nipple measurement, which is for this client I'm using 4 inches. Then at the half cut, just take the line all the way down to the end of the pattern, or to the end of your hip measurement, and go ahead and draw the line across. Remember, I said we are marking this as the blouse in full. We are not going to be folding into two because of the asymmetric design on the blouse. Next off, go take out some inches on both sides of the nipple to nipple line to create out your bust. You can take out 1 inch on both sides, but for me, I decided to make my allowance uneven. So I took out 1.5 inch on the sides. That's the side that is going to carry the bustier curve. I took out 1.5 inch. Then on the for the center piece, I took out 1 inch. Okay, so that's making a total of 2.5 inches. That's the total I took out to create my bust. But you can decide to take out less as the case may be. So I'm going ahead to use my curve ruler to connect this line to the bust point. Just follow carefully what I'm doing. The video is quite self-explanatory. Okay, so at this point I wasn't satisfied with my curve and I just decided to adjust a little bit, and then I'm going ahead to connect this line to my hip line as you can see me so. Now if you notice, I did not take that bust curve on the other side because this is a curve I'm going to be making. I need the bust area to be the same. Okay, so watch to the end of the video to see how I created the bust on the other side. Okay, so as you watch you would learn. I'm going ahead to, on the armhole length, I went ahead to connect it to this bust point, and I came down by 1.5 inches on the armhole length, also to connect to the other side of the bust. That 1.5 inch I took out at the armhole length is necessary to avoid gaping. Okay, so this is it guys. Next up, I'm going ahead to impute my measurements plus my sewing allowance. You can decide to use 2 inches sewing allowance, but ensure that you are replacing the darts necessary. Now remember I told us that this is an inbuilt corset dress that I made, and I needed to snatch 4 inches away from this dress. So what I did for the waist part was, remember I lost 2.5 inches at the waist. Now I was supposed to impute my waist measurement, replace that 2.5 inches plus my sewing allowance, but because I needed to lose 4 inches, I just replaced 1.5 inch. So I shortened the allowance by 1 inch. So when 1 inch is missing from my dress, it automatically means that I've been able to snatch 4 inches. Of course, you know that the dress is in 4 parts. You have 2 for the center part, 2 for the back piece. So 1 times 4 makes it 4. So next up, as you can see me do, I'm going ahead to create the asymmetric curve for the other side. As you can see on the dress earlier, the curve on the left side of the dress is longer than the curve on the right side. So I just extended my line by 4 inches, and then I'm going ahead to take out 1 inch. I took out 1 inch on both sides actually to enable better tightening, and I connected to the end of the dress. Now that curve I had by the side was just, I went up by 1.5 inch and I went ahead to connect to the end of the dress as you can see me do. And I had that little correction there because I forgot to begin the curve after my allowance. So it's very important you begin the curve after your allowance. And then I went ahead to connect that line to the waistline. Okay, so I have this snatch. Now I need to say something here guys. When you're drafting your pattern, be sure to replace this particular allowance you lost here, because somewhere in the video I forgot to replace it. While making the video though, I forgot to replace it, but I later replaced it off camera. So please do not forget to replace the allowance you're going to be using for your asymmetric curve. Now you can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna head to mark the shape on the other side, and then I'm just trying to create the curve for the other side. As you can see, do not forget from the hip I went up by 1.5 inch to get that curve by the side, and then I'm going ahead to extend my allowance, I'm coming out of my allowance to create my curve. So the flay or that little asymmetric curve on the right stopped at the hip, and then the asymmetric curve on the left extended after the hip. So go ahead and create your curve. You can use freehand, you can use your pattern ruler, depending on which gives you a better result. Like I said earlier, please, this allowance that was taken for the asymmetric design, the allowance I'm going ahead to strike out, do not forget to replace on your pattern, bearing in mind that I've already snatched out 1 inch. Okay guys, so this is it. We are almost done with this pattern draft. Next up is to work on the neck. I came down just 1/2 inch above my chest line. You can decide to do less, okay, or do more depending on what you want, but 1/2 inch above my chest length was 7 inches, and 7 inches is just fine for me. So that's why I came down by that. And then the wideness of the neckline, I used 3 inches. Initially I used 2.5 inch, but you will see later in the video that I corrected it. I decided to make it 3 inches, to give me what I wanted. And so you can see me connecting from the other side of the neck to that 7 inches to give my asymmetric neckline. Of course, you can, mine is a bit slanted and I was fine with that. If you don't want yours slanted, go ahead and do or mark or draft as it pleases you, okay? So this is me correcting from 2.5 inch on the left side. I made it 3 inches, but I maintained 2.5 inch on the other side. Okay, so we are done with the neckline. And the next thing will be to cut out our pattern. Now remember guys, we did not take the bustier shape out on the other one, okay? So this is me showing you how to go about that. Very simple, just watch carefully. And you have that other side of the dress extended at that hip side, because remember I told us I replaced the allowance off camera, so that was the replaced allowance. You can see how I'm cutting this bustier side. This will ensure that I have the same curve for my bustier You do not want to have irregular shapes on both sides. It can be very stressful, trust me. So that was the method I used in cutting. For the center piece as well, I need it to be equal, so I just at this point folded it into two, and I went ahead to cut to have it uniform on both sides. Now this is what we have, guys. Our pattern draft for the front is ready as we want it. Now please do not forget to notch the waistline and the hip line on both patterns, so that when you are joining them, you will have them aligning in the position you want it to align. If you do not notch this point, it can be a little bit stressful and confusing. Now for my shorter asymmetric curve, I felt I needed it to curve a little bit more, so I went ahead to curve it in a little bit, but of course this is based on designer's choice. So over to my back piece. Remember I told us I made it as a gown, a corset gown. So if you want to make yours as a blouse, all you need to do is to fold your pattern into two and cut out the longest part plus your zipper allowance. Okay, do not forget to add your zipper allowance, and then you go ahead and cut out this side piece, folding the bust inside or inwards so that you can have your back piece without the bust. But for me, since it was a gown, I did not cut out the center part because I was going to insert loops on both sides of the dress. So the dress, I just cut out the side pieces, and then I had a modesty panel to replace that center part of my dress. So you can see I just cut out this part of the dress, and I went ahead to cut the exact front. Please do not forget to take your bust inward, to fold your bust inward so you have it without the bust. And you can just see how I folded the top because I needed the edge to be straight. Now this back piece is going to be having an attachment up. The shoulder will be attached up. Just watch carefully to see how I came about that. Now you can see what I did here, guys. This is me replacing this part of the dress, the armhole of the dress, to enable me effectively cut out the neckline and the shoulder piece for the back of our dress. Okay, so having marked out the top of the back piece, I'm going ahead to mark out the keyhole neckline for the back. And for the depth of the back piece neckline, I used 5 inches. And then I came down by 2 inches to create the keyhole neckline for the back, or the keyhole curve for the back. You can decide to use whatever measurement you want. Okay, so at this point I decided to deepen the neck a little, so totally that was me using about 5 3/4 inches. And this piece is ready, so you can see the way it aligns to our back, and we are good to go. The next stuff, I'm going to mark the skirt. This is the skirt I folded into 2 already. Now I went ahead to begin this mark from the waist. Okay, so when you're marking the skirt line, be sure to begin from the waist. So that's why you can see me placing my tape as such. plus the skirt length. I added 2 inches for the allowance of the skirt length, and then after I marked the waist, I went up by 1 inch, okay, because of the way I'll be sewing the dress. That 1 inch allowance was necessary for me to attach the skirt and make it a gown. Remember I said this is a gown. From the waist length, I went ahead to mark the hip length, the knee length, and the skirt length as we have it. So now I'm going ahead to impute my measurements plus allowance. I used 1.5 inch allowance all the way through. And do not forget that for the waist, I use the snatched waist. The client's waist is 32 inches, but I snatched 4 inches, bringing the waist down to 28 inches. So it is the 28 inches that becomes my waist, the waist for the dress. So that was what I marked. Please do not mark your actual waist. The skirt will become too big when you're done snatching. And go ahead and cut as so. And the next off, you're done with our front piece. Next off is the back. Now I've placed the front in the back, and watch what I'm doing. I'm going ahead to fold. I folded 3.5 inch because the corset loops will be coming all the way down to the hip. Okay, yes, so that 3.5 inch I folded was because I was going to cut out the center. Remember I said the modesty panel will cover up for that. And what I'm marking right now is the slit length. I came from the skirt length, I came up by 19 inches for my slit length, and then from the waist I marked my hip line. And just watch what I will do in the video, but for now I'm going ahead to create my slit. The slit is as desired, okay? Create your slit however you want it to, but I'm using a slant overlap slit. And then of course I've worked on my slit. Over right now is my hip length. I'm working on my hip line rather, so you can see I've marked it and I'm cutting that place off. Okay, yes, I'm cutting it off because the loops will be coming all the way down to that point, and the modesty panel will cover that center. Go ahead and cut your skirt all the way through. Okay, so we are done with that. Next off is to give my board allocation. Just create that board allocation line all the way to my slit line. Go ahead and cut out your slit, and we are good to go. So guys, if you've come this far, it means you like what you watch. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and do not forget to share, turn on your notification bell so you get notified when I drop new videos. Okay, so stay tuned for the part 2. I will be uploading that soon, and that is why your notification bell has to be turned on so you'll be the first to get notified when I upload the part 2 of this video. Okay, so do not forget to chalk the back side of your fabric. As you can see, this fabric looks almost the same on both sides, so it's very necessary. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.